Program. When the government bailed GM out with $49.5 billion, your money, and assumed a 60% stake in the company, most of us said, I don't think that's going to work out real well. Government and business don't really mix well. We knew they'd do something stupid like waste it all on a $50,000 electric car that doesn't work and nobody really wants and nobody can afford. We just didn't know that some of the taxpayer money would also go towards a newly released or soon to be released propaganda film. Oh, this is going to be great. According to the Washington Times, late last year, GM agreed to sponsor a propaganda film that celebrates the 90th anniversary of the CCP, the China Communist Party. Great. The film is entitled The Birth of a Party, and it's part of a coming propaganda blitz. Your tax dollars paid for it. GM reportedly made Cadillac a chief business partner with the Communist Party and stated Cadillac wholeheartedly supports the making of Birth of a Party. Well, that just makes me want to drive a Cadillac today, huh? A quote from GM CEO Daniel Akerson sheds some possible light on the motive. He describes China as a key to GM's success. Oh! That's great American government thinking. Don't bet on your success on America. No, that won't work. Why? Because we're a house of cards. We're buying stuff that's worthless. We're in a bubble. The whole thing's going to collapse, right? Bet on China, because China is the future. China is building ghost cities. These are fantastic. You have to go online at glennbeck.com and see it's fantastic. That's one of the biggest malls in the world. Completely empty. Massive construction projects, entire towns funded entirely by the government with no people in them. Yeah. Go to glennbeck.com and see them. They're not going to hit a massive housing bubble. No, it's China. So let's follow them, shall we? And celebrate the birth of a party. Oh, hello, America. Here, these are for you. Welcome to the Arab Spring. They're so refreshing. The Arab Spring, it's like Irish Spring, except a lot more musky. It really is. What exactly is the Arab Spring? Can you help me with that? Everybody wants to tell you that it's really all about freedom. But really, I don't think it is about freedom. No. I'm forced to be the Debbie Downer of the party and point out that the Muslim Brotherhood doesn't go well with fresh flowers. There's other powerful radical elements that maybe want a little more than just freedom, namely destroy freedom. Hey, we should start with Israel, shouldn't we? Here's the latest. Hamas, the member of the parliament and a cleric, gave an interview on Al-Aqsa TV last week, and I want to show you what he said here. Watch.
يؤتى بهم لفيفا إلى فلسطين ليكون الشرف لفلسطين وأهل فلسطين ومن ورائهم أمة الإسلام في القضاء على الشر المستطير لهذه الشرذمة من البشر مهما كان في الخليقة من وحوش كاسرة، من طيور جارحة، من زواحف مؤذية، من حشرات ضارة، من ميكروبات فتاكة، خطرها أدنى بكثير من خطر.
It's like an Arab Spring in here. Sounds refreshing, doesn't it? No, it really doesn't. The cleric then explained what he would do once all the Jews were destroyed. Here he is.
تحرر فلسطين ويعود إليها أهلها وتكون كل هذه المنطقة قد تحولت بفضل الله ورحمته إلى ما يعني أستبشر أن يكون اسمه الولايات المتحدة الإسلامية. يعني هذه منطقتنا إن شاء الله، وستكون أرض فلسطين هي عاصمة الخلافة الإسلامية، وتكون كل هذه الدول هي ولايات تابعة لدار الخلافة.
Gee, I'm starting to think that maybe they want more than just the pre-1967 borders. What do you think? Yeah. Islamic Caliphate? Where have I heard that before? Oh, I remember, right here. Oh, you're the crazy guy with a chalkboard. He's loco. You know what I'm saying? I think loco, that's French for right on target. Crazy radical from the Middle East. What does that matter to us here in America? You know, it's funny, if you know history, and I know you do, Americans said exactly the same thing about Adolf Hitler. When he said those kinds of things, you know, about vermin and Jews being like that bacteria. Isn't that weird? Next week on this program, we'll go deeper. Uh-oh, will that cause some uncomfortable moments? Yes, yes it will. But let me show you this picture. This picture was taken in 1937. Look at these Germans. Oh, wait a minute, what's this? That's an American flag. There's an American flag here, next to the Nazi flag, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. What is this? That's New Jersey, 1937. You see, back in 1937, Americans, a lot of them, were crazy and didn't take Hitler seriously. Yeah. And before you knew it, you had pictures like this. Yeah. By the way, that's New Jersey. We also have pictures. I mean, we could show them to you. We also have pictures of Long Island, too, where they're all dressed. They got the kids in the Nazi uniforms. Oh, Americans. Isn't it great when you just close your eyes and the problem just doesn't go away? In fact, you end up dressed like Nazis in brown shirts. The longer you close your eyes, the worse it gets and harder it is to defeat. What did the brown shirts do? Well, the brown shirts, they just shouted people down. And when that didn't work, they just beat you in the streets. See, they went from nudge to shove, to beatdowns, to bullets in the head. Let me show you some, maybe a little more than shoving. This is from UC Irvine last year. It's an Israeli ambassador to the United States, Michael Orr. He's trying to give a speech, and he is interrupted time and time and time and time again. 11 students were arrested for disrupting, and eventually the ambassador had to be escorted away for safety concerns. I bring this up because we're starting to see this tactic more and more, and you need to be prepared for it. It is going to get harder and harder to speak out in America, not only in support of Israel, but in faith-based ideas or founders-based viewpoints. They will come increasingly under attack. Case in point. Something that I got a phone call on yesterday, 2 days ago, not far from our southern border in San Antonio, Texas. Pastor John Hagee, a guy who's never shy about his opinion, gave a sermon about Christians being united for Israel. It was part of an organized effort in which hundreds of churches devoted part or their whole Sunday service for Israel. What hate mongers. Well, unbeknownst to John Hagee and the congregation, there was a group of community organizers preparing to disrupt the sermon. Hagee was discussing the moral imperative of standing with the Jewish people and the state of Israel, and it didn't take long before the nightmare began. Here it is. In total, 11 received criminal trespassing warnings, but they're going to get off and not do anything about it. They claim to be doing this in the name of free speech. But is that free speech? What they're trying to do here is bully, disrupt, stop someone else's opportunity for free speech. I believe this is what the great Frances Fox Piven, that liberal lioness, said when she said, making things ungovernable. Look at the things the protesters are saying. How many acres of land have you stolen? Listen to this. How many acres of land have you stolen? How many children have you killed with your tithe? The answer, by the way, to both of those is 0. But the video began with a title page. Remember, how many acres of land have you stolen? And here it is, the title page. This is from the protesters. Oh, San Antonio, that's not how you spell Texas. I mean, we should get the unions on the phone. What are they teaching how to spell Texas? Why would you spell it that way? You know who spells it that way? People who think, Americans, that think that we stole the land from Mexico. So the land belongs to somebody else. You see, it's the same argument being made in Palestine against Israel and being made here in America at our borders and even being made by school teachers in Tucson schools. America stole the land and America is the oppressor. We're the great oppressor. Israel is the little oppressor. I spoke with Pastor Hagee last night from my home, and good news is, as you can see when you watch the full video, the congregation there in San Antonio, 5,000 strong, did not back down to this intimidation tactic. They cheered and became stronger. And believe me, you don't know John Hagee if you think you're going to get him to sit down. Go to glennbeck.com and read Pastor Hagee's letter to me describing the event in great detail, and you'll be able to see the video too. It's an exclusive story. His office also informed us that while the organization directly responsible for the protest isn't clear, get this, at least 2 of the protesters are listed on Esperanza's website as employees. Esperanza. What is Esperanza? A 3rd protester worked with Esperanza. Sounds nice, doesn't it? We reached out to Esperanza, and they're denying any involvement, but we wanted to know, who are you guys? Well, they happen to be a social and economic justice group once funded by, come on, say it with me, George Soros. Bingo, Esperanza and Spooky Dude together. Oh, at last. But that's not the only source of funding that they have. They also received $25,000 from the Tides Foundation. You know. Oh, it's getting good, isn't it? They also get money from the state of Texas through the Texas Commission on the Arts and the city of San Antonio, the Office of Cultural Affairs. Oh, wait a minute. They also get money from the National Endowment for the Arts, the federal government National Endowment of the Arts. Oh, that's right, this show. This show was the one that exposed the National Endowment for the Arts stirring trouble up about 1.5 years ago. Oh, yeah. Remember when we were called crazy for that one? There it is, gang. To summarize, a portion of your local and national taxpayer money could be going towards paying these bullies to protest at a place of worship. This type of protest and reaction to any belief that doesn't fall directly in line with the left and the nouveau ordre will come directly under attack. You can take that to the bank, America. You know, we talk on this program an awful lot about a whole bunch of different things. And we get a lot of heat because we are ahead of the curve. I don't need to tell you the long list of things that we have been right on. And nobody ever prints that. They just call us crazy and then move on. The track record on predicting things to come, from the warning I made on air here in New York City in 1999 that there would be blood and bodies in the streets of New York City caused by Osama bin Laden, to the economic downturn while the Dow was still at 14,000. Everybody's saying buy, buy, buy. That led to the TARP and the demise of GM and the failure of government bailouts, to this year when I warned in January that the glorious Arab Spring wasn't so glorious. Remember when I said this timeline back here, this we've kept on the wall because everyone said I was out of my mind. Really, am I? The track record is clear. Now, why am I telling you this? Because I see something coming and it is not good and you have to be prepared. You saw things, if you watch this program every night, you saw things coming long before others did. And people are now just starting to come around. But it's not about you or me or our track record. It is about being prepared. I happen to believe the things that I say. I think you believe the things that you say as well. This isn't a... We don't watch politics. I don't watch politics as sport. I could care less about politics. I hate politics. I hate it. Why are we burning up so much time? And I'm not Kreskin, and I don't have a magic 8-ball. I just take people on the left at their word. They tell us what they're going to do. And the next phase isn't good. Because of that, I am telling you that it is time I hope you have the lifeboats filled for your families and ready to go. It's not going to be easy to convince anyone, especially in first class or in the brandy room, the grandest ship in the world. It can never sink. Yeah, really? Really? The ship called America can sink if you stand around and deny reality. Some will come around eventually. Some will come around when it's way too late. You just have to make sure you've got a lifeboat for somebody else. Stay ahead of the curve. What I am talking to you about with Israel is ahead of the curve, and I know that. It is not popular. I've had every single advisor on planet Earth telling me not to do this event, not to talk about it. I can't get anybody involved. Nobody will understand it. Everyone will be angry about it. Whatever. What's new? If you stay ahead of the curve, you're going to be mocked and maybe even attacked. That video could be you being yelled at, not John Hagee, and told your tithe is killing babies. That's why it's critical to prepare mentally, to be the strongest person you can be. Know what you believe. Get the crap out of your life, and most importantly, have the courage to stand. Like these brave men and women did in the 1950s. I love this picture of him because I look at the faces of everybody involved and I can see the fear in their eyes. But they stood anyway because they knew they were right. You are going to see the types of protests that were happening at John Hagee's church, but we must become these people and stand locked in arms and without real fear, because we have each other. And with love in our hearts, there will be attempts to isolate more and more often. So when the guy from Hamas or the local community organizer in your area stands up and says something like this,
عدد محدود من السنين سيدرك الجميع من الصهاينة والمستوطنين أن مجيئهم إلى فلسطين كان للمذبحة الكبرى التي يريد الله بها أن يريح البشرية من شرهم.
You don't dismiss the warning signs. You wake up anybody who has eyes to hear, or eyes to see, and ears to hear, and a mouth willing to speak. Wake them up. Stand together. I told you yesterday that I'm going to do an event in Israel calling Restoring Courage. It was interesting to read my mail and to see the press react yesterday. The press really wanted to be mad at me. They're not exactly sure how to be mad at me yet. They'll come up with something sooner or later. They've got a storyline, don't worry. But I saw a couple of reports that said, Beck has nothing to teach Israel about courage. Are you that stupid? Gee, you think? Here's a country surrounded by people who have been trying to wipe them off the earth since their birth. Really, I'm going to teach them about courage. This event is not about restoring their courage. It's about restoring our courage. We have to stop making the news about other people, other lands, other parties, other people's problems. What role do we play? It is our personal courage that needs restoration. When someone stands up and says something you agree with at the PTA meeting, do you say something? If somebody is getting shouted down or bullied, don't sit there silently, stand with them. And don't wait until after the meeting to walk up to them and say, hey, thanks, I'm with you. Newsflash, you lack courage if you're whispering. It has been hammered home to us over and over again. We've been trained to not make waves. Don't offend. And don't say anything politically incorrect for fear of an uncomfortable disagreement. Meanwhile, we are dismissing people who say they want to kill an entire race of people. When you deny that, that is fertile ground to be taken advantage of. And the rebels, the rebellion, the revolutionaries, they will take advantage. You must prepare in your friends and don't sit by silently. Always remember that Americans debate, Americans think, Americans love, Americans are compassionate, and Americans never sit it out. Israel doesn't need a lesson in courage. We do. This August, this journey to Israel for me is personal. It's not about celebrity or teaching anybody a lesson or sending a message to any earthly power. It is about sending a message to our Maker and letting Him hear our message as individuals. That this time, I will stand and I will be counted. I will not cower as people have in the past. I will not stand by and watch a whole race of people called vermin. Because I've read history, I know how it ended last time, and I know how it started. First, they came for the Jews, and I said nothing. Let me declare to the entire world and ask who's with me. This time I will stand. This time I will say something. This time I will be a force for good. Wee little one. Have you made an announcement yet?
No. Well, yes.
You have? Come here. The wee little one, Erin, she's pregnant. The guy from the IMF. I'm just saying. Pop quiz. Arab Spring. Does it mean that A, Jeffersonian freedom lovers are out in the street, or B, a chance for radicals in the Middle East to seize power and institute a long-desired caliphate? Need a lifeline? Here it is.
إن شاء الله وستكون أرض فلسطين هي عاصمة الخلافة الإسلامية وتكون كل هذه الدول هي ولايات تابعة لدار الخلافة.
That's crazy talk. If you said A, ooh, sorry, as Alex Trebek likes to say, you were probably listening or reading one of these fine media outlets because they all said the same exact thing. The Muslim Brotherhood, the group or administration called largely secular, and nothing to be worried about, nothing to see here, people, is powerful now in Egypt and is taking full advantage of the Syrian uprisings. You know, the one that you're not hearing much about. They're playing a larger role now in seriously challenging the Assad regime, the only group to ever make serious gains against Assad. Our president now also wants to sit down. He wants to chat one-on-one with Iran. Yeah, we could talk some sense into those lunatics, huh? That sounds plausible, especially with the news that Iran is now building intermediate-range missile launch pads in Venezuela, using engineers from a firm owned by the Revolutionary Guard. The goal? Well, Iran, if they're hit with sanctions, they'll fire rockets at the enemy in response. Wonder who the enemy might be. Hint, the great Satan. Combine that, Iran has already been in, trading missile technology in violations of UN sanctions with North Korea, and you got a nice mess, don't you? By the way, Reuters has just reported that prohibited ballistic missile-related items has been transferred on regular passenger flights. Oh, that makes me want to run down the aisle and scream Allah Akbar. How about you? Iran has been working to smooth over relations with Bahrain, where I think we have our, the Fifth Fleet? And they're successfully doing it now with Turkey and Egypt. Meanwhile, after the bin Laden raid, Pakistan has distanced themselves from us and is moving towards Russia. Oh, golly, it's that Arab Spring in the air. Yeah, not this Arab Spring. No, not this Arab Spring. This Arab Spring is more like this Arab Spring, isn't it? It smells like dog pee. It does. This is the one that President Obama is now telling people that they should jump on and be a part of. Now, why? Why would someone say that? Especially someone who, the moment a group such as the Tea Party rises up and protests against his policies, tells them to shut up and sit down. I'd like to know the answer to that. President, I can't get him on the phone. Hey, I know. I could ask. Who's that guy that the president always asks for wisdom and advice? You know, that guy who hosts that show on CNN. Oh, yeah, that's right. Fareed Zakaria. He's great. Of course, he's denied that after he said that. That's weird. Maybe he's just confused. Maybe he's too busy talking to his other good buddy, George Soros. Got to be proud of that. No, you do, Fareed. At least you're out in the open now. Back in a minute. Well, we could talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. No. Or we could talk about some good news. Finally, Finally, the U.S. government is getting serious about the scourge that is plaguing the American society today. Yes, America, if you have kids, tell them to look away. I'm going to show you the scourge. Take a good look at that buggy right there. That is your enemy, America. Not the buggies per se, but the people driving them. The horses might be involved as well. That's why I'm happy to report tonight that the FDA has conducted a year-long covert investigation of the guys in the buggy. Why? Oh, like you don't know. These insidious, dangerous people still milk cows by hand. I know it's almost everything I can do to keep from vomiting tonight. But it's bad. Now, I don't know how much milk that they can produce in this diabolical plot of theirs. Oh, but it's enough. Oh, it's enough. And apparently, that milk has crossed state lines. Do not panic. I say, do not panic. We have taken care of bin Laden. I say we send troops to western Pennsylvania. SEAL Team 6, 7, 8, 10, I don't know which one. Pick, we got a lot of them. Delta Force, the Army Rangers, maybe all of them. Whatever it takes to clamp down on the Amish menace. Yes, we've taken care of everything else. Joe Biden, he made sure the stimulus spending was so effective that we only lost, according to a new intensive study, slightly more than 500,000 jobs from it. Now, wait a minute. I was told that we created or saved 3 million jobs. No, that's called a lie. It actually created 450,000 government jobs, while the private sector lost 1 million. I didn't see that one coming. So, don't worry about the meth lab down the street from where your kids play. That's not important. Or the fact that drugs and gangs and weapons pouring across our southern border. Or what was it, 37,000 dead on our southern border. Don't worry about it. Don't you worry your pretty little head about the debt ceiling limit, the potential default of the U.S. government. No. Don't think of other things. Think of things like that really matter, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Gotta talk about that. What happened? Poor Maria, I didn't know. I was a crazy road movie star. Yeah. Huh. Who'd have seen that coming? He's a scumbag. Huh. Weird. He's a politician and a movie star. I would have never guessed it. I want you to know, America, that you can rest easy in the knowledge that somewhere tonight, the FDA, all with black on their face and black outfits, in the cover of darkness, are going to bust down the door of an unscrupulous Amish dairy farmer who would otherwise be trying to sell unpasteurized milk in Maryland. Let me tell you something. Well, that may look innocent. Oh, sure, but it's not. Don't be deceived. If we don't get a grip on this now, before you know it, hand-churned butter will be turning up in parts of Delaware. Jams and jellies not approved by the federal government in New Jersey. I say, for one, I would just like to... Oscar, can you pull in a little bit? Can you pull in? Pull in. Oscar, come on. I mean, look at the work ethic we have here. Oscar, pull in a little tighter. Oscar, bring it in. I want Barack Obama and the whole nation to see it right here in my eyes. Hang on. It's going to tear up soon. Barack Obama and all of you hard-working people at the FDA. And Cass Sunstein. Oh, Cass Sunstein, you and your rules. I love you, man. Love you. Thank you for protecting me, my family, and all of my neighbors from jams and jellies and hand-churned butter and the threat of unpasteurized milk. What a menace. Thank you.
Forget about investing in gold. Glenn's got a new plan. Light bulbs. Find out why he's stockpiling next.
The new CFL light bulbs. Oh, you can't get too close to them when you read. No, you can't let your children get near them. And, of course, you should never leave your home in the hands of these things. If they break, you have to call hazmat. So I started to think, maybe we should just give it all up, live like the Amish. And then I realized they're the people who are responsible for the evil unpasteurized milk scam that is happening right now. So I don't know what to do. Now, I have to come clean with you. Maybe the greater threat to America, one greater than the Amish over the past year, has been me. Yes, I have recommended that you stock up, just in case, on food or gold. Oh, sure, when I started talking to you about gold, it was like $700 an ounce, and now it's $1,500 an ounce. But I've been wrong. I've been dead wrong. Dead wrong. What you need to do is hoard, and yes, that is the word I mean to use, hoard light bulbs, specifically 100-watt light bulbs. Not those, the real ones. Do we have a real light bulb here? God forbid. Look out, Aaron. Aaron, look out. It could be dangerous. That's not a real light bulb. What kind of light bulb? Bring it over here. What kind of light bulb? That is not a regular light bulb. That is like a Fatty Arbuckle light bulb. Okay. Imagine a real light bulb, not this one. From the AP. 2 leading makers of lighting products are showcasing LED bulbs that are bright enough to replace energy-guzzling 100-watt light bulbs set to disappear from stores in January. Their demonstrations at the Light Fair trade show, which sounds exciting, I wish I had my tickets, in Philadelphia, means that a brighter LED bulb will likely go on sale next year, but after the government ban has taken effect. The new bulbs that the government is demanding that we use, going to be expensive, about $50 a piece. Don't drop it, kids. So the development may not prevent customers from hoarding traditional light bulbs. Look, come here. She comes to me. I asked for a regular light bulb. Look what she gives me. This one and this one. These aren't regular. Something's wrong with you, Aaron. It's not me. The incandescent light bulb is more than a century old. This is actually called an Edison light bulb. Light bulbs like this, they waste most of the electricity that feeds them, turning them into heat. Yes, heat. The kind of heat that we use to have. Can you take away these stupid light bulbs? Here in this beautiful Easy Bake Oven from Hasbro. Yes, let's face it, Easy Bake Oven is a piece of crap. And it has been a massive disappointment for generations of little girls. Yes, disappointment. But that's beside the point. You're going to put a $50 light bulb in here to give off the heat to bake the little, because this is I do this on Saturdays. I'm like, okay, you're going to put the little pie in here. And then we wait. No. We all knew the global warming hoax was going to cost us dearly in our electricity rates. How do we know? The president said it.
Plan of a cap-and-trade system, electricity rates would necessarily skyrocket.
But now we find out that it's a light bulb is going to cost $50. When 100-watt light bulbs become a luxury item, it seems that would be like the time when the poor and the middle class, the Democrats keep saying they just love so much, I want to hold them and cuddle with them. They'd say, hey, I'm paying $4 for a gallon of gas, twice as much as I used to pay for corn. My grocery bills are going through the roof. And now you want me to sit at my kitchen table staring at my empty dinner plate in the dark as well? America, stock up on light bulbs. They say they're going to cost $50. Not if you act right now. I've got them for $47.95. Back in a minute. Share with you something on a personal note. The beginning of the year when I came back from vacation in January, I released a book that I had written with my friend Dr. Keith Ablow. And I was on the air and I was talking, I said, this is going to be the year that you can change your life. This is it. And I got so many amazing calls in those first few weeks of the year. I got a call from a guy in Ohio. He said, you know what, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to start my own business. He said he was going to start his own bar. And I said, that's not something you call, I'm an alcoholic. That's not something you call and tell me, but good. And we had a few laughs, and he said he was going to change his life. Well, his son that he told me about, he said was a big influence. And he was going to take the risk. I got a message from him last week. James told me that his son had died. He was 16 years old. He was on a church mission in Costa Rica, and he was swept out to sea and drowned in riptide just a couple of days before he was coming home, along with 2 other 17-year-old students. My listeners and my viewers, I consider you to be friends and family. I'd only talked to James once, maybe twice, and when somebody on my staff came to me and told me, I wanted to call him. And I did. It was about 10 o'clock at night one day after work. Quite honestly, I didn't know what to say to him. What do you say to somebody whose teenage son has just been taken prematurely and said to you, I'm going to change my life? I could have called him earlier in the day, but it was the last thing I did because I was avoiding it like I usually do when I'm troubled by things. It turned out to be the most inspirational call I have ever made. When James got on the phone, he spoke of his son. He said, I tried to raise a man for the first 12 years, but he taught me to be a better father and a better man for the last 4 years of his life. He told me this story about his son. He would go to work, and on his lunch break, he would go out and play his guitar outside of his job at Kmart, and he would collect money. He convinced them to let him collect money. He said when his dad asked what's going on, he said, Dad, the church needs a new van to help people, and I want to buy him a van. I don't know how long he was going to have to play his guitar to be able to afford that van, but he was determined to do so. James said, Glenn, I've just paid for my son's funeral and shipping his body back, and I'm broke. Business isn't going so well. He said, but I want you to know whatever it takes, whatever I have to do, even playing the guitar, I suspect. He said, I'm going to make sure my son's wish is accomplished. He wasn't a broken man. He was a determined man. I ask you tonight that if you're in Ohio and you happen to be driving by James Bar in Ohio, there it is, and there's the address. I want you to take a few minutes and just stop in. Talk to this man about his son. You won't find sadness, you'll find inspiration. It's the time zone in Grove City, Ohio. By the way, final note, JJ, his son, I knew wanted to be a youth pastor. That's all he wanted to do. When I was told by my chief of staff, Joe, that JJ had passed away, my immediate response was, he's a youth pastor finally. But I want you to know that the last thing the pastor did before they put his body in the ground was make it official. Before they buried him, they anointed him a youth pastor. Thank you for the inspiration. Thank you.
Soon, the first ever Glenn Beck Quiz Show. Think you could answer questions about the stuff Glenn's covered over the last 2 years?
I talk about the dangers of big government, collective salvation, the Tides Foundation.
If so, we'd like to put you to the test. Who does Glenn call the spooky dude?
The spooky dude.
Who does Glenn hate?
Hate this guy.
Who does Glenn love?
I love him.
Show off your Beck IQ and write in for tickets at beckquizshow@foxnews.com.
Do you understand? I still don't know the answers to those questions. In case you haven't heard, and this is serious, the end of the world is coming on Saturday, according to a family radio worldwide and retired MTA worker in New York. So I'm asking you to watch the show because this may be your last chance. This Friday, we're going to be joined by religious leaders and friends who have come from different faiths who have joined together. They are ready to stand and be counted. Join us Friday. End of the world is Saturday, so you better do it. I'm just saying. From New York, good night, America.